Often we work on every possible round, like first technical round, second one, and whatnot. But mostly, I have seen people not focusing on one of the round, that is managerial round, or we can say also techno managerial round, considering that it might just be a managerial round and mostly they might ask just normal typical questions. And actually, this is true to a certain extent, but many of the times I have seen people getting asked technical questions, and even inside my own technical round of Deloitte, I was asked interview questions for around even more than 1 hour or one nearby to 2 hours, while the technical round was just for 45 minutes. And the question asked were not very direct, right, but very indirect actually, to identify whether I have actually worked on or I'm just bluffing. So here are few questions that were asked to me repeatedly in my few of the techno managerial round. So first is, how do you ensure that sensitive data is protected in Salesforce? Now, if you look at this question, they are more concerned about how are you going to protect the data, how are you going to make sure that the data which you are going to store within Salesforce, if it is sensitive, how are you going to protect it? Now many of the times I've seen people answer, if you like, even if you try to answer these questions, you might say I will follow the security model and whatnot, right? But the security model is fine, right? Security model is fine, but what if there is a data breach? How are you going to solve this kind of problems, right, in Salesforce? In such kind of scenario, the security model is secondary thing, but the first and the most important thing is there are two things inside Salesforce that is called as probabilistic encryption. Sorry for my spelling, might be wrong. Encryption and there is one probabilistic encryption and deterministic encryption. Using this two, what you can do is you can actually encrypt the sensitive data. You can select the field you want to encrypt and what not, okay, so that these fields cannot be queried further, right? Based on the requirement, you can select any one of them and it can ensure that the sensitive data is protected in Salesforce. Now once you have done this, then you can move to roles and OWD and whatnot, right? But first of all, the to avoid any kind of data breach or pulling out the data which is not much necessary by some external person who has no access to our Salesforce, you can use probabilistic encryption or deterministic encryption. So the answer to this, most probably this question is this. If you have any other questions or answer, you can always ping it in the comment section. Let's move on to the next question, that is, can you provide me a time where you configured Salesforce to solve a business problem? Now think and pause what you are going to answer. Most probably people will start giving the answer regarding their triggers. They will start writing a code for LWC or whatever they have done inside the LWC and whatnot, right? But if you read out the questions very properly, they are asking about what you have configured in Salesforce. So the question is that what kind of admin or configuration you have done which has made a really good impact, which has made a very big impact, right? That's what the question is. Next, to solve a business problem. Now to solve a problem, first you need to understand it, right? So basically you have solved a very big problem of Salesforce or very big business problem just using the configuration. What have you done such? Okay, most of the time people also answer like triggers. They most probably give the answer that I have written a trigger which use custom metadata and custom setting. I have written an LWC component and whatnot. But actually the question is that what kind of configuration you have done within the Salesforce which have made a huge impact by understanding the business problem and solving it just using configuration. Because manager or any client as well is more inclined over Salesforce given solution instead of writing their own custom solutions. So if you are able to build a kind of functionality just using configuration, that is much more appreciable as compared to that of writing a very complex code. So the question is configuration, right? For me, the answer to this question was I have built digital engagement, right? Digital. So the problem for us was to send the SMS, right? We have to send the automated SMS to the end user. So for that purpose, I used digital engagement, and along with that, I have used Einstein Bot. Now, if you look into it, I did not need to write any of the code for digital engagement. I did not need to do anything, anything at all for the digital engagement and even for the Einstein bot. It was pure configuration. Still, just using the pure configuration, I was able to make a very big impact. and I also explained them what the business problem was and how did I solve it using digital engagement, which makes a lot of sense that I was able to make a bigger impact just using configuration and no code at all. So the question, try to understand the question because they are more inclined over configured and Salesforce given solution as compared to that of what you can build, right? So this is the answer to this question, and let's move on to the next question is that can you walk us through process of developing custom reports and dashboards inside Salesforce? Now, as per as a manager is concerned, he wants to get a quick insight. Even if he wants to give the customer insights about their data that they are using, if they want to, you should be able to build quick custom reports and dashboards. So that's what they was looking for basically. Now answer to this question is pretty simple, that whatever object you want to select, you can select it. Next, you can select the report type. Either if it is done by the standard report, you can do it using the standard report type. If needed, you can build a custom report. You can add the fields that you want. You can add the configurable fields that you want, and then you can build the dashboard as per as the need. For an example, if you want to use gauge or normal table or whatever it is, right? So in simple terms, they just wanted to see how quickly you can understand which object to pick up, which fields that are very much important that needs to be picked and added to the custom reports, and what kind of dashboard that you are going to use to show the maximum amount or very efficient amount of data, right? Very useful amount of data. So that was the goal of this question. Now before moving to the last question, if you find my videos helpful, then I request you to please subscribe to this channel, and also if you're going for your next interview, I would really recommend you to connect with me one to one by taking a technical interview by clicking the top met link below. So let's move on to the last question, that is, describe a challenging issue that you have encountered with Salesforce functionality and how did you troubleshoot and resolve it. Again, what's going to happen is that if you see such kind of questions, what people are going to do is that they're just going to go ahead and start answering again about triggers and LWC and whatnot. But if you check it out, that challenging issues that you have encountered with Salesforce functionality. Now, Salesforce given functionality. What happens is many of the times you have seen that approval process does not send the notification, right? This is a challenging issue that you can face within the Salesforce functionality itself, right? So even sometimes Salesforce functionality does not works as per as expected, right? So the question is that how you have encountered such kind of issues and how did you resolve it or something like that. So one of the issues that I faced was regarding the sensitive data rule. The sensitive data rule was not working at all. How did I troubleshoot it? I used Einstein bot, and inside Einstein bot I was able to see the SMSs whether they are coming or not using sensitive data rule, whether I was able to delete the messages or not. If not, then the answer to this question is that I resolved it by connecting to the customer support. But even before connecting to customer support, it automatically got resolved. I don't know how, but it automatically got resolved. Now, to for you guys, one of the thing is that you can say is that approval process, right? The notifications of the approval process, they're not very synchronized, right? One of the thing is that you not always get the notifications of the approval process. This is one. Second one of them is nothing but email, right? When we're trying to send an email, sometimes the emails does not get sent, and the reason most probably would be that you have to first of all write a debug, right? You have to set the debugs and you have to find out whether the email deliverability is on or not. This is second. Third of them is a known issue of Salesforce is that field service lightning mobile apps, they are not very synchronized, right? So sometimes you might get issue of synchronization within that, and how do you encounter it as well? You have to answer for this as well, right? So basically the question is that there is a Salesforce functionality and there are few issues within it, or we can say it's not that much flexible. Then how do you flex, like how do you turn it around to use it as per as your need? So that's what the question is all about, right? How do you troubleshoot it and how do you resolve it? Basically, whatever the functionality is, how do you bend it as per as your need, even though if it is not that much flexible. So this was all about the techno managerial round I was able to remember. If you found this video helpful, I request you to please like this video and subscribe to my channel.